Probably about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. Went back must be 5 years ago, pre-COVID. I went back and I spent a day there in kind of the Ebbw Valley, trying to see a few old people I knew and sort of friends and things. Had spent quite a bit of time with my old scoutmaster because we kept in contact. And yeah, it's such a different place now. I mean, I didn't recognise half of it.
Yeah.
But it's so much cleaner. I mean, when I grew up, the steelworks was still operating.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I've mentioned before, you literally couldn't put your washing out on certain days. If they were running the Bessemer converters, you couldn't put your washing out. It would just come in dirtier than it went out. It was, and everything was grimy and everything was just, the hillsides were just, they were dying. I mean, after kind of the steelworks had been built in the early parts of the 20th century, so after kind of 70 odd years of constantly belching out pollution, because particularly the first 50 years ago, it wasn't controlled in any way. And dumping all the sort of waste products and some of the chemicals that are used in production of steel are pretty nasty. It was pretty. But when you go back in now and and it started cleaning up, and the works closed in, I want to say the late 80s, and pretty much they're pretty much now completely. There's hardly, apart from there's a museum and there's a few things. If you know what to look for, you can kind of recognise as things. But it's an industry that's gone, but the valley's now green and the air is clean.
Vaguely poetic there, Andy.
Yeah. and it's a great thing. I mean, unemployment is stupidly high, but it's.
Yeah. Well, Middlesbrough was Steel City. That's what we were famous for, steel. And there's no steelworks left now, not one.
I used to work in Corby, which is down the road from me, and I was working at the steelworks. And that's the same. That used to be most of Corby was just steelworks. And that was buying Welsh steel and bringing a load of Scottish workers down. Yeah. Now it's. But
like as you say, when I was a kid, there was always a thick fog over the borough, and everyone's windowsills were covered in black dust. Not many people had cars, but if they did, again, they were covered in dust. Whereas now it's so much cleaner; it's unbelievable.
But I know they still have steelworks in Port Talbot.
All right, okay. I think there might be. Yeah,
I think it's still there. Yeah. I know it's been touch and go because I know is it Tata? They've tried to
because
they a few times.
They sell the steel. Yeah, so it's Tata who own the one in Corby, and because the Port Talbot was sending the coil to Corby to turn into tube and box. They don't bother now. They just import it all from China and somewhere else, I think.
There's someone in South America, I think, does a bit of steel. Yeah.
They actually blew up the iconic part of the steelworks about 2 weeks ago. So if you go to Redcar by the sea, it was dominated by the big skyline of the steelworks, and they blew it up 2 weeks ago. So it's all gone now. So the whole sort of landscape has totally changed now. Yeah, which is quite sad. But I'm interested in the connections here. So we've got Andy with the Cum in Wales.
Yeah.
Jamie with Corby. My son's wife comes from Corby.
Yeah. I mean, it's a small world, the UK. A small world, the UK. Yeah. It's a small country, the UK, isn't it?
A small country. Yeah. But yeah, it's amazing that how, I've never really spoken to you guys before yet, but there's all these different connections that everyone's got, which is really good.
Yeah.
Was that kind of whole kind of six
degrees of separation?
6 degrees of separation. Yeah.
I think that, that was kind of, I believe that was kind of made up, but then somebody actually looked into it and went, it works for quite a lot of people.
Pretty much, yeah.
You think, the people that we interact with. Steve, every week you talk to somebody, publicly. I know you do it more than just once a week. Somebody,
every Tuesday I'm allowed to speak.
Yeah.
Yes, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, you're connecting to somebody in Sweden.
Yes.
And you're also, I mean, for anyone who's listened to Three Northern Makers episode from today, yeah, it was all somebody from Switzerland. Okay, living in Sweden, but yeah, there's a connection.
Yeah. It's amazing that that has allowed me to make so many connections sort of worldwide. It's amazing, to think what the benefits of the internet that brings in, isn't it? I know it's always criticized for the sort of evil part of it and how it sucks our attention, but it allows so many connections that were I couldn't have dreamt of as a kid, or, even like 20, 30 years ago, you couldn't have thought of anything like that, could you?
Yeah, I mean, 3/4 of an hour ago, I was chatting to people in Germany and the US and various parts of the UK, and all together, all of us chatting in a video call.
Yeah,
it's done some good. It's kept me in a job as well.
That's good then.
I think for me, that connection that you get. It's just, I mean, you think about, if I think about my school friends that I've kept in contact with, okay, mostly now through the internet, whatever. Okay, I know somebody that lives in Liverpool. I know somebody that lives in Brighton. I know somebody else that lives, I could probably name a few other places. And you kind of, they're kind of, still keep in contact, but it's Christmas cards plus once or twice a year that you kind of sort of reach out. But I think now literally reaching out to people regularly across the country, so my eldest has been looking at universities, and you go, oh yeah, I think they're looking at Leeds. And I go, yeah, I know a few people in Leeds. And it's like, oh, I know, I'm looking at someone at Cardiff. Yeah, I know a few people in Cardiff. And I'm looking at, and listening off Borough University and going, yeah, there's somebody there. Yeah, there's somebody there. There's somebody there. Yeah, I'm going to a festival in Portsmouth. Yeah, I know a few people in Portsmouth. If you've got any problems,
do you get to a point where they just go, Dad, is there anywhere that I can go where you don't know someone?
Yeah. And have you physically met these? Have you physically met these people?
Some of them, yeah. Some of them, yeah. I mean, quite a few of them. But yeah, I mean, other places, I don't know. There's bound to be places I don't know people, but not many. So it seems. Yeah,
it's just anyone with an Instagram account.
Yeah. But I mean, the pandemic would have been an awful lot worse if we didn't have FaceTime and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It really sort of, although like my wife, Sally, her mother and sister live in France and her brother lives in Sweden, and she spoke to them more during the pandemic via FaceTime and what have you than she would have done any other time. And so it really, although you couldn't physically see them, go to the country to see them, you kept in touch so much more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I've heard that a few people have said that they spoke to family and friends more often during the kind of the lockdowns, than they had otherwise. For a lot of people, it was like, oh, I'm not spending any time traveling to work at the moment, and for a lot of people, they were able to do their jobs. So it's like, right, what am I going to do? Make sourdough, talk to my friends and family.
If you think about how many people that might go for a night out a week, or nip down for a couple of drinks to the pub after work one night a week, or I suppose some people it's 5 nights a week, but that kind of missing that social interaction, even if it's just with strangers, making noise around you at the pub, sort of thing.
Yeah,
I suppose that was that opportunity to kind of reconnect with people you normally avoid.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's part of the beauty of things like Make Essential. And I think, Make Essential this year, was just particularly, I think, special for a lot of people because it was that. Yeah, actually, this is a sign. Yeah, okay, COVID's not going to disappear. It hasn't disappeared. It's still lurking around, but it's just becoming now a part of normal life. But I think, for a lot of people, certainly for me, maybe I'm just speaking for myself more than anything else, actually being able to attend an event like that, meet up with friends, people that you've you haven't met up with physically for a long time. You hug people, shake hands with people, you meet people that you've been interacting with, that you kind of just virtually, but then actually sort of meeting them. It was just such a good event, and it was just, I think it was a kind of a trigger point event post pandemic.
Yeah, I think for me, the best part of Maker Central was meeting people that, you know, I'd maybe messaged on Instagram, but people I didn't really know them, but to meet them in the flesh and meet loads of other new people, that was the best part of Maker Central for me, rather than the demonstrations and anything else. That was the essential part, really. And I made so many, you know, good friends. I'll call them good friends at that event that I keep in touch with. That I went to Norway to see, and you know, do lots of different things that I would never have done. So it was fantastic. Yeah. I haven't been to previous ones.
The kind of the way you mentioned then about not so much a hesitation to call them friends, but the kind of that moment of pause. You know, we sort of grow up with this, you know, understanding of friendship being a thing, you know, that you develop in like the schoolyard or down the pub or at work, or, you know, it's this kind of face-to-face interaction. But I think I've had more wholesome, long-lasting, you know, better friendships out of, you know, meeting weirdos through the maker community, or you know, kind of stuff like that. And you think, well, they're actually much better friends than people I've called friends for the last 20 years.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And they invite you to stay in their homes and stuff. You know, I've been to Sweden and Norway, and you know, it was fantastic. Whereas that would never have happened. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I guess in Sweden and Norway they don't know about Middlesbrough, do they?
Everyone always wants to talk about Middlesbrough Football Club when you go somewhere. Everybody knows somebody that's played for Middlesbrough. Swedish, Norwegian, you know. There's always someone. I was in the middle of what's the capital of Croatia? Dubrovnik. I was in Dubrovnik once on this really balmy evening. Me and my wife were walking through Dubrovnik, and it's just full of restaurants, Dubrovnik. You don't really want to bother going. It's just full of restaurants. And the guys are on the street handing out menus, you know, trying to tempt you to come to their restaurant. And this guy came towards me and offered me a menu. I said, "Oh, no, thanks, mate. I'm all right." He went, "You're from Middlesbrough?" And he was Croatian. And I said, "Yes, how do you know that?" He said, "Your accent." He said, "You're from Middlesbrough." He said, "Alan Boksic, who was a famous Croatian centre-forward that played for Middlesbrough." And he said, "Do you remember the goal he scored against Ipswich Town in so-and-so? So it's the best goal I've ever seen." I said, "It's the best goal I've ever seen." I couldn't remember it at all. I said, "It's the best goal I've ever seen in my life." "Oh, two free drinks for my new friends," and sat down, you know. So, you know, get you everywhere.
That's true, yeah. I mean, that's the first thing, you know, because I managed to hide my accent reasonably well.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's usually the first kind of question whenever someone realizes that's where I'm, you know, sort of from Liverpool. It's, "Oh, you're a red or a blue?"
Yeah, red or a blue.
Neither. I hate football. You know? It's just it. Oh, I don't know what else. Beatles.
Yeah. Cilla Black.
Yeah. Knife crime. No.
The Liver Birds. It's a very kind of, I think, limited knowledge for a lot of very kind of, you know, London's the only city that most people know outside of,
it is,
outside of the kind of the local area.
Yeah.
So if it's not that, knowledge is limited.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, rightly so. We don't know many other, you know, small cities in other countries.
No, we don't know.
It's not like you keep a big list.
I think Liverpool's possibly one that is known across the world because of the Beatles.
Yeah, but I mean,
and the football. Yeah, it's like a lot of people know Manchester.
It's a limited fact on it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose, you know, most people in the maker community know Birmingham just from Maker Central.
Yes.
Couldn't tell you anything else about it.
Well, we know the NEC and the Weatherspoons in there, and that's about it, isn't it?
That place you get free pizza.
Yeah, oh, that was good, that wasn't it? Yeah. I hope you've all got one of them CNC machines he was flogging or whatever. A software for a CNC machine.
It's software,
yeah. Yeah, Vectric, yeah.
I mean, I know you're a shaper and a laser guy, aren't you? You haven't got a.
I have a shaper. I don't have a CNC. I have a shaper Origin. Yeah. Which I've had a couple of years now, and the thing I like about it is it's small. It's small form factor. You don't need a big bed. You just a handheld thing, and you feel as though you are actually making something with the shaper because you're physically in contact with it and you move it. Whereas you are the gantry. You don't just press a button and off it goes. Yeah, yeah. So I've been making a nice little table with a shaper, which you might see soon.
So here's the question for the only other person I know who's got a shaper is Andy Berkey. Right. Do you tell people that you hand routed it?
No, I use the shaper
because there's a perfect opportunity there for blagging your skill level.
Oh yeah, I'm sure people think Steve's never done that. He couldn't do it.
I mean, technically, it's a router, isn't it? I mean,
it is a router.
It's a router.
Exactly, yeah. It's
so you could just say, "I used my router."
It's a handheld router with a computer strapped to it. Yeah. But it's for a small guy in a garage, it opens up so many possibilities for your things to make. And it's not just for like routing out signs and things. You can make some fantastic joints and lots of other stuff with it, and joinery, which I've been doing for this table. So it's class in that sort of way. Yeah.
I can imagine it's you say in that kind of small space, because that's one of the I've looked at the possibility of getting some sort of CNC in the past, and there just isn't anywhere in my workspace that I could put one.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, one of those like Maslow CNCs that vertical mounted with the sort of the swinging.
Yes.
And it's then wall space that could be used for more useful
shelves.
things. Yeah.
Storage. What's wall space?
Yeah.
I don't think it would work putting it on the roof of the tinkerage.
I keep bashing my head on
that. But I think I've only, I've had it 2 years. Then maybe it's like I've only sort of released 20%, or maybe it's less than that of its potential, really. Yeah. So
I think there is some bits of kit. I feel, and I may be wrong on this. I mean, I've seen a few people use them. I mean, there's yourself. There's Pierre's got one, hasn't he? I think.
And Andy's got one.
Andy's got
one. Yeah.
There's Berkey. I've seen a couple of other people use them as well. I think Laura Kampf has one, but doesn't.
Yeah, she has one. Yeah. Michael Alm has one.
Yeah. But I'm surprised there's not more people using them.
Yeah.
I feel that it's not kind of, it's not reached as much as an audience, or maybe it's not reached as many makers that are producing content. Might be a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
As CNC, whether it's just, I think
the barrier to entry is going to be a lot lower than a CNC as well. So it's, I wonder what the sticking point is, because it's,
they're not cheap.
True, but people will still drop a $1,000 or £1,500 on a big CNC bed. That's then
I think,
and you've got to have software and
a lot of people in the business use them. Like I know a few guys who I follow on Instagram who have their own companies, all have a shaper for fitting, making wardrobes or kitchens and all sorts of stuff. Lots of guys use them for bespoke joinery and stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they're great for fitting various types of hardware, because when you buy a shaper, you get access to the thing called Shaper Hub, which is now free. Anyone can go on Shaper Hub. And you can download the templates for any type of hinge and door fixing and stuff like that directly to your shaper. And then you can go to the job site and cut out, like for a specialist lock or a specialist hinge. And it's all there for you. Yeah. So
that's going to be a game changer for people in the trades.
Yeah, so a lot of people do use them in that sort of area, and I think they're very big. Again, they're very big in Germany, which is where they're from, and they're very big on the continent, so in Europe. Yeah, so
makes sense.
And if they're listening and they want to sponsor a podcast, or a couple of podcasts,
that'd be fine. Yeah, just send 2 over.
I'm sure I can put it to use.
I think I could. I mean, I'd like to get into CNC. I'd like to get into laser as well. But space, certainly at the moment, space is such a premium.
Yeah,
and I think my only concern, perhaps for me personally, for the shaper is that it's still kind of it requires me to be the gantry, and my back's not necessarily up to that.
You can sit down.
True.
Bring the workpiece to you.
Yeah, you can sit down and use it. Yeah, I have a little still sometimes. I sit on the little still sometimes. Yeah,
I thought of that. Yeah. It'd probably be okay for like smaller stuff, but I mean, it's. I'm never going to be using a big CNC anyway because I'd never be able to get stuff on and off it.
You'd have a meter by meter CNC, and you just put in like coaster size things.
Yeah, 4-inch squares. Yeah, there you go.
Only ever using the corner.
Yeah, the nearest corner, of course.
Yeah, of course. After you spent the first couple of weeks using the one at the far end of the corner, because you hadn't quite got there.
Yeah, you need a big stick to like move things around, like one of those roulette things where they collect the chips, and you just need one of them to. Or they used to move aeroplanes around.
You've seen my walking stick. That's almost like that. Yeah.
Like in the war room, just moving.
Moving them planes around. Yeah, there you go. Get that over there.
Yeah, the vacuum. If you get a vacuum table as well, so you haven't got to worry about clamps. Yeah.
He's going for the deluxe model, Andy, isn't he? Vacuum clamps. Took a few screws.
I nearly made a Yorkshireman joke then, but I decided against it.
Good lad.
I've got. Have you seen these? I can't remember who makes them. I've seen a few people using full bed gantry CNCs, and rather than screwing their work down using clamps, they're using a nail gun, but with plastic nails. So it will go through the wood, but if the bit hits it, doesn't spoil the bit.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of videos where people use them. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
When I was over in Maker Faire in Hanover, there's a guy who was he's done an engineering resin for 3D printing, and it was one of the things that he tested was resin printing a hammerhead and then resin printing some nails, and then hammering the nail into a piece of wood. But you wouldn't. It doesn't compute to me to use plastic for nails because it's that sort of like hierarchy of materials, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like wood is generally harder than plastic, so that's not the kind of the operations you would use.
Yeah.
What's in my head anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it's surprising what you can do with certain things. Yeah, it's like I used to do a demonstration, particularly with kind of primary school kids, where you take a drinking straw and punch it, just a paper one or a plastic one, thin, not metal, not wood, just an old-fashioned, polluting straw, and you can punch it through a potato. Literally grab it. If you know what you're doing, grab the straw and punch it through, and it'll go all the way through a potato. It shouldn't happen, but you
quite often see that with like the sort of tornadoes in Florida and things that where you see bits of random things going through trees and buildings and things that really should not be able to go through those things. Especially just with the right kind of vector and velocity, anything will go through anything really.
Yeah. Now Eric in the chat. Eric is such a clever guy. We must get Eric on soon. He said the plastic nails in the nail guns, really composite nails, consisting of mostly glass fiber with a little bit of nylon as matrix material. When you shoot in, the nylon melts and bonds to the wood.
Oh, okay.
That's clever.
Today I learned something. Yeah.
Eric's a clever lad, isn't he?
He is.
He's our sort of technical consultant.
We could all do with Eric. Huh? Eric, get yourself up north.
Eric's another Scandinavian.
Oh, is he? Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, there's some clever Scandinavians.
There are, yeah. Yeah. I know a few of them.
I'm trying not to say anything about Rasmus. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even.
It was going through your mind. It was going through your mind.
It skipped over.
Yeah, this is live. You can't actually cut any of this out, can you?
No, I've covered the
Can't be
audio,
asked
but
anyway.
yeah. I mean, it's on YouTube, so technically we could, but that would require editing.
Yeah.
Gave up editing about 60
3.
episodes ago. Yeah.
Yeah. I know when we edit we take turns in editing. Me and Pierre Pierre and Andy used to take turns. And now, at first, you're really finicky and you're looking for every little thing. Now I just press play and do other stuff while it plays at home. And then I just say publish. You know what I mean? I don't change anything, really.
Well, I mean, that's how Andy does ours. Just the publish button.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest, unless I'm aware that there's going to be an issue, I will literally do a 10-second check just to check the audio levels are okay. I mean, they're generally okay anyway.
Yeah.
Once I've got the audio file down, I just download that straight from StreamYard. I'll just check the audio is coming across okay, assuming that it is, and I don't need to adjust anything. I then publish it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
It's I like to think of it as part of the charm of the show.
Yeah. Raw and unedited.
Yeah. Yeah. Rustic.
Yeah.
It's a rustic podcast.
It's a podcast of visible fixings.
It's I mean, we're having a chat. It's a waffle. It's just like sitting in the pub having a chat.
Yeah.
It's like it's sometimes in a chat in a pub. There's a bit of silence when everyone's taking a drink at the same time. So it's just like.
Are you suggesting that our audience are just other punters in the pub getting the drinks in and just happen to be overhearing our conversation?
Yeah.
Sort of lean over and go, oh, you know them plastic nails? We're not really plastic, lads.
I mean, that's definitely the sort of conversation that would happen at Maker Central.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And probably very similar ones have.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. In fact, they have, because I've seen it. You sit at the bar talking to someone, and somebody else comes up to get a drink, and they go, "Well, actually, just listening to what you just said there."
Yeah. Well, I love that stuff, though. I mean, mostly because I'm usually that well actually person. But yeah, it's just that kind of little nugget of knowledge, or that bit of that little factoid that makes someone go, "Oh, I didn't know that."
Yeah,
that's the reaction you're going for.
Yeah, and then you use that next time someone else is talking about it, don't you? So like you know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, James from Molten Make is kind of extra arm to the podcast. That's one of his kind of ways of navigating the world, is knowing 2 facts about anything and everything, because that's all you need to have a conversation and appear smart. Is if you've got 2 facts about everything in the conversation, you're golden. So
sounds good.
You know that there are plastic nails for CNC, but they're not actually plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but James is so smart. He probably knows a couple of 100 facts about most things.
True. I mean, that is the game when you chat with James, though, is to try and out-fact him. find something that he only knows one fact about, and then give him the second fact.
Yeah.
Mostly because you know that by the next time the topic comes up, you'll have forgotten the second fact, but you'll have still remembered it.
He'll remember it, yeah.
Yeah, you can got these people with really good memories. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I wish I had a really good memory. But
I'm sure you might have said that before, Andy.
I don't know, I've forgotten. So, Steve, Baker Central was first time this year for you.
First time for me, yeah.
I mean, were you aware of it in 2019?
Yeah, I was. I remember seeing the adverts for it and things like that. But I don't think I had any sort of intention of going. It was only with the one we went to. The idea was me and Pierre would meet up there for the first time. Sadly, Pierre had bought the tickets and everything, and the aeroplane tickets, but he took ill, and he couldn't actually leave the house. So that never happened. But I met with a big bunch of Norwegians that we knew online, and that was the good part of it all, yeah. But yeah, that was the first time I'd ever been, yeah. And like I said, the best part was the people. I was slightly disappointed by the content of the exhibition itself.
There was a lot of stuff that cancelled close to the time. Yeah. Obviously, it was pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. So
there were a few that cancelled. Yeah, there were a few that cancelled further back. Yeah, because they still didn't think that they wanted to expose their staff to. Yeah. Well, they weren't sure whether it was going to take place. Didn't want to commit to something that might or might not happen. Yeah. Still weren't actually convinced that they wanted to expose their staff to a potential risk of COVID. Yeah. Which was still, I mean, it's still a very real risk. I mean, a few people did go down with COVID.
Well, yeah, because it was, I wasn't too sure whether it was going to take place or not, really, when, in the build-up.
Well, I think, in fairness, I think even a couple of weeks out from the event, I think even they were unsure as well. Yeah, I think it's, there was always that kind of fear until, kind of really close to the event.
Yeah. But I would definitely go to another one.
Good.
Yeah, definitely.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
They keep teasing that there is going to be an announcement soon, but they've yet to make it.
Yeah, Nick was on Sean Everly's podcast a couple of weeks ago, and didn't give anything away, but kind of there was a bit of a hint that there would be kind of announcements soon, but wouldn't get drawn on anything further than that. Yeah, so Nick, we know you listen. Yeah, go on, let us know.
Give us the inside skinny.
I can't imagine Nick listens to us.
Yeah, no, I can't either. I'll tag him, but they still won't listen. Yeah.
You can but try.
You never know. You never know who's listening. Yeah.
That is true. I have been quite surprised a few times by some of the people that have mentioned Maker's Waffle. I've been very confused. You just kind of forget. You think, oh, maybe the people who are showing up as currently watching. That's all it is.
Yeah. But then you look at the kind of listening figures. You think, crikey. There's
I don't check them because I do that. I don't get
I do that, but I look at it and kind of go, how many? I mean, we don't get huge numbers, but you think, crikey, some of these episodes, we've got. I'd love to say 4 figures, but we got some of the episodes we've got 3 figures of people listening to particular episodes, and you think, a couple of hundred people listen to that particular show.
Yeah.
Well,
we should just start every show off with an apology to the listeners.
We're very sorry about last week. We'll get better this week.
No, we don't want to lie to them as well.
We'll do our best to make it better. We can't promise.
We try not to let it get worse.
Yeah,
that's probably the better way of putting it, I think.
Yeah, no, it's always surprising when people make comments, through Instagram or whatever or email. and you think, bloody hell, I didn't think, you would listen, or that, you're actually listening to what we've been saying. You might have it on in the background, and but people pick up on various points, and it's cool. Yeah, it's nice.
I mean, for people who don't know, I mean, you have a podcast as well, and we've already mentioned it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Pierre, the Swedish maker.
Pierre, the Swedish maker.
Until today. Andy.
The Potato Woodworks.
Potato. This potato. I was trying to think. What's the thing that goes with the potato?
Yeah.
Sweet potato. Potato chips. Potato maker.
Potato Woodworks. Yeah. Yes, I'm part of a podcast. I'm one of the co-hosts of a podcast, the Three Northern Makers, with me and it was a guy from Switzerland and who lived in Sweden, and a Swedish guy. But now there's just the two of us. We've done 60 episodes so far, and out each week on all your good podcasting platforms. And it's just like yourselves, it's just three guys or two guys who just chat about what they've been up to, making stuff, daft rubbish that comes into our heads. And it is just like you say, two people down the pub having a conversation, and we press record. Yeah. And I think, there's no real preparation goes into it, if I'm honest.
So you feel right at home here then, Steve?
Yeah. And it's been fantastic, it has. And I don't really get to talk to many other makers during the week. So I really look forward to a couple of hours chat with Andy and Pierre on a we usually record on a Monday at a much more reasonable time than this, can I say? And we just and it's just a nice chat about, you can say to someone, I was thinking about making this, how would you do this, how would you do that? Whereas I don't have anyone to bounce those ideas off normally, you know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, it's going good. So
I enjoy it. I mean, I've been listening now since I think I heard about it by the sort of second or third episode.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of started listening, and I haven't missed a single one. It's part of my Sunday. It's part of my Sunday routine.
Yeah.
Listen to yourselves and 2/3 focused.
Yeah.
Both come out on a Sunday, and they form part of my Sunday routine of walking the dog or doing the washing up and stuff like that. Just stick it on, have a listen.
No, it is good fun. 2/3 focus. They took over. They did an episode stand-in for
Fools with Tools.
Fools with Tools, didn't they? That's how I first heard those guys, because I listened to Fools with Tools and I put it on in the workshop and I thought, have I pressed the wrong button here or what? What the hell is this? And it was those guys, So.
Because for your podcast, when Andy first mentioned it, I was like, oh yeah, and sort of put them all on, and then I've just got into this complete loop of playing catch up on all the podcasts.
Yes.
So there's about 5 different podcasts that Andy's gone, oh, you must listen to this. So they're all sat there just getting the numbers just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Bigger,
I really should. Next week I'll do it next week.
Yeah, next week. Yeah. But it's, we're into a nice easy rhythm now. It's just because at first it's all a bit strange, isn't it? The podcasting world. But then you just get into a nice rhythm. You're just yourself. And it's been great. We've been lucky to have some, big guests on in our town, and there might be a few more in the pipeline. Yeah.
Ooh,
very nice.
Now there's just the two of us.
I was just about to ask. Now that just the two of you now.
Yeah.
So do you think you might increase the frequency of guests?
We had a bit of a sort of different positions about guests. I'm not really fussed about guests, whereas Andy and Pierre quite like a guest. I was chatting with Pierre saying maybe perhaps we could get some of our listeners on as guests. That would be that's the sort of tack I would take, is invite some of our listeners to be a guest.
Yeah.
And so that's a sort of one route we're going to go down, and we've got a couple of people lined up who are not more prominent woodworkers or whatever to be guests. So yeah, but I think the idea of just having our listeners on is a good idea. So That's something we're going
to. Yeah, I think it'd be good
maybe it's not every week, but
especially for like sort of Q&A sessions or things like that. I think that's kind of it's a completely different talking point to like a structured guest chat.
Yeah. And if you get like we had you get someone like Jason Hibbs on, you can't really shut him up. Do you know what I mean? And so the episode is the Jason Hibbs, roadshow. So it'd be nice to get people who are, the same as me and Pierre and yourself. We're just people who, have a garage or a little workshop, and we make a few bits and pieces in there. And that's, they face the same problems and challenges that we do. So,
yeah.
So that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, we try and get a range of people. I mean, we've had a couple of big names on. People like Anne of All Trades. Kind of recognizable in kind of the wider maker community as a big name, a famous person, and we like to do that. But then I think we've had some interesting chats with some of those sort of big name people. But it's also nice to actually just talk to people that actually they're more our friends than they are kind of famous in the making world. Some of them are quite famous, but it's just nice to have a chat with somebody.
I mean, we've had some really nice guests on who've been interested in us rather than just promoting themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we've had some really nice people on who still are good friends of the show and, keep in touch with us. And they're really, really cool people, yeah. But
yeah, I must admit, it like you said before, of that kind of defining the feeds and that kind of the starting out. I know that, like for us, especially, we've had kind of a lot of friends of ours who've the first podcast they've ever been on was this.
Yes. Yeah.
And we've all kind of had that apprehension at the start, especially with it being obviously like a live show and stuff as well. It's that kind of the first few minutes you're a bit uneasy or butterflies or whatever, and then inevitably by the end of the podcast, like, oh yeah, I forgot we were recording. Just friends having a chat.
Yeah. And we go, oh God, we've been going for like an hour and 45. Oh.
It's always been really funny. Yeah, yeah. Was
nice short
really
podcast
for us. Yeah. Yeah, we the number of people, because I tend to do the guest arranging, and I've spoken to so many people who've kind of gone, I'm not sure if I could talk for 45 minutes. We might be able to do that. I don't think I've got more to say than that. And a lot of people, I'm not sure if I could be able to manage to kind of be on the podcast and sort of, a bit nervous. Never been on a podcast before. I don't really make a huge amount. I don't know if I'm interesting enough for people to listen to. And nearly always those people, I'm not going to mention any names, but those people don't have the shortest episodes.
No.
Yeah. I'm not saying they have the longest episodes either, but they're not. Yeah, they're thinking half an hour, 45 minutes might be enough. Add an hour and a half to that at least. Maybe 2 hours.
Yeah, it's that weird kind of thing, though, isn't there? Of the first kind of 10 minutes, you sort of, you're having that kind of like follow on from the pre-show chat. It's just like the catching up and stuff, and then all of a sudden it's an hour later. And, how'd that happen?
Yeah. When it was the first one with just me and Pierre, I said to Pierre, "Have you got much to talk about?" He said, "Not really." I said, "Neither have I." But as I say, like an hour and 45 minutes later, we were still talking, even though we had nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Do you plan do you kind of have a sort of a schedule? Do you kind of think, right, okay, today we're going to have a topic and we're going to talk about this? I mean, you tend to start with just kind of, what have you been doing this week?
Yeah. Or, I used to always do a bit of Swedish and speak something in Swedish. Yeah. Some random phrase in Swedish or some Swedish fact. We have a list of topics that we can call on if we need them.
That's cheating.
But I don't think we've really touched on many topics. I think the ones we've discussed have just come up naturally. Yeah, because we did sit. Could we form a list of topics? And it was really hard thinking of topics. It was a head scratching moment, thinking, what can we talk about?
Well, you just have to scroll through all your friends' podcasts and then work out what they've talked about. And if there's an appropriate amount of time between when they did and when you got.
Yeah. Mine always funny ones. I was saying, you could always say, "What's your favourite wood?" Whenever we stuck, what's your favourite wood? Softwood or hardwood?
Balsa, surely.
Yeah, balsa.
Which is the softest hardwood.
Yeah. My biggest concern about the podcast today was that I was going out for Sunday lunch this afternoon with a couple of pints on board, and nice big, roast chicken, Yorkshire puddings, cauliflower cheese, roast potatoes, boiled potatoes, carrots, cabbage, lashings of gravy, followed by apple crumble and lashings of custard, and a couple of pints. And then I went with my friend. He said, "Do you want to come back for a couple of glasses of wine?" So I thought I'll be asleep by 9:30. So, but I've made it, so we're all right.
We just shout your name if you start snoring.
Yeah.
I mean, it can happen. Yeah, there is an episode where I may have nodded off for 30 seconds or so. We had a guest who was very, very talkative, and I was very, very tired, and it had gone on for like 3 hours. And
I think there's a few of those kind of moments where we've been flagging a little bit, and then the other has noticed and kind of kept the conversation going enough to take a a 30-second power nap.
It's a real danger. It's a real danger.
Yeah, it is this time of night, yeah.
I mean, podcasting wise, it's interesting the sort of variety of maker podcasts and the sort of styles of them. I mean, I think about the Clamp with Grant Alexander, Molly Kurt, and Adam Mackey. They always have a topic or they have a guest.
Yes,
and I think they're very good at kind of getting that kind of Yes, they'll have what have you been doing this week? Yeah. But then it's into a topic.
Yeah.
Or they have a guest, and normally the guests. I think the majority of their guests have been standing in for one of them, but not always. And I think they've not got a formula as such. I think the guys at I've forgotten the name of it, and they'll kill me for this. Make Our Own Way. Dean Duplantis, Austin Saunders, and Christy from Twisted Twine. They kind of they've very much got they always have a guest. Well, I think all but one of their shows they've had a guest, and it's very much right. We're gonna just the three of them to start with, and it's actually recorded after the guest, so they kind of have what you've been doing, and then they have their guest segment, and they've got kind of a very set progress. They always talk about a project, but nearly always they're concentrating on one or two projects things that they make, or an element of their business. And then they have a little sort of post guest chat, the kind of sort of things that they've kind of learned or taken from it. And for the guest, there's always a bit where kind of Austin does a thing that's normally what's your 3 favorite tools, or what tools would you rescue? Yeah.
Also, call back.
And then you get kind of I mean, we have the closest thing to a structure is we have a guest the majority of the time, and towards the end we'll go right. What's been grabbing your attention? Yes. You've got yourselves where it's kind of mostly it's what have we been doing this week, and that will often drift into a topic.
Lead into a topic. Yeah, that's
naturally.
Correct. Yeah, naturally. Yeah.
I think it's interesting how these sort of different podcasts have sort of developed, and there's a lot of maker podcasts now.
Yeah,
and it's interesting kind of seeing sort of some of the personalities and things, and how, there are certain maker podcasts I listen to because I can't really get. I've gelled with the hosts like yourselves.
Yeah.
It's part of my Sunday. I enjoy listening to you guys. You're sharing about kind of some of your problems. You're sharing some of your highlights. You talk about things that are interesting. You guys are obviously intelligent. You're thoughtful. You're suffering some of the same things that I suffer with in terms of getting stuff done and just life getting in the way.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't gel. I mean, there's a few podcasts. Again, I won't mention names where you kind of go, I just don't get you guys. You're just not. It's not going to work for me. I've tried it.
I mean,
sorry.
That's everything, isn't it? We're all individuals with our own personalities, and I think that's one of the benefits of having. I'm not going to say
all
more
the
diversity,
choice,
but more choice at least for which personalities we find are appropriate for our own.
And it's nice that there's a lot more non-American maker podcasts now, because they still far outweigh the number of sort of UK and European maker podcasts. But it's nice that there's more choice for us as being in the UK to listen to than another person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Which is part of the reason why I wanted to start the podcast, was because there wasn't such a big choice. Yeah.
And if memory serves, I think that was why Fuzzy Tools was started initially as well. That kind of, adding something to the pot.
Yeah, well, it was just Stephen Robb. They kind of wanted to hear some British voices. I think at that point, I can't think of any British podcasts, maker podcasts back then. There may have been maybe in particular kind of niche areas, but in terms of sort of general maker podcasts, I'm fairly. I can't remember any at that point. A little while later that Peter Millard and Andy Mack started.
Yeah, they had one.
Theirs.
Yeah.
That was still quite a while later, wasn't it?
It was quite a while later. But I can't think of any other ones that kind of bridged the gap then. And again, they probably were or probably are.
Yeah,
there are other. I know there's a knife-based one. There's a knife-based podcast that's UK-based. Not one I listen to because I'm not really into knife making, and I can't remember what it's called. And it may just be a British. One of the hosts is British, although I think there's a couple now where there's at least one British host.
I mean, there's a perfect market for a British knife making podcast called "Knife to See Your Knife."
Get that knife to see your knife.co.uk. Get it booked now.
Yeah,
get that domain.
I used to listen to a podcast, not a maker podcast. It was kind of more. It was kind of tangential to kind of sort of fitness. A couple of guys who do training of Hollywood folk for particular sort of things. Like the one guy was the one of the trainers that trained all the guys for the Spartan 300 film, and trained like Henry Cavill, Superman, and the Jason Momoa, the kind of Aquaman train those sort of guys, and they talk about a variety of stuff. The one of the guys isn't a climber, and their first series, they've done a couple of sort of series of podcasts. They've changed the name part of the way through as well. The very first series, every episode, they would be literally, while they were sort of talking about stuff, they would be buying domains of things that would just come up with. And then they kind of do, because they were selling zines, and you'd have to kind of go to one of the the domains that they kind of bought in order to almost follow a breadcrumb trail to get to where you could then buy the zine from. And it's just and crazy stuff, absolutely crazy.
99 pence well spent, that, Jamie. A good domain name these days.
Yeah. It's always worth taking up knife making just to get involved, to get it.
The problem is, I think I'm not. No disrespect to either of you chaps, but I'm not quite old enough to fit the bill for being kind of a Brucey, a Brucey figure.
Hey, we all remember that conveyor belt with the cuddly toy on.
Yeah. Cuddly toy and trip to France.
Yeah. Tea's made.
Yeah.
I used to enjoy the Generation game as a kid. I really did. Yeah, it was.
I do love the fact there's a whole chunk of our audience who are just going, "What are these?
What the hell are these?" Well, there was only 3 channels in them days to watch, wasn't there? There was nothing else to do. There was no internet, no videos, no one out. It was either, Bruce on the Generation game or Bruce on ITV with Play Your Cards Right. It was one or the other.
Yeah.
I still
remember with Terry Wogan.
Yeah, and Bullseye and things like that.
Oh, yeah. We all wanted to win a speedboat, didn't we?
I saw a photo the other day of someone had won the speedboat and then done nothing with it. And it was basically, it was in the kind of somewhere. Well, the kind of stereotypical houses that you get in the UK that are not hugely affluent areas, and the kind of place where it wouldn't be too unheard of to see something on a trailer left untouched for 20 years. And this was a photo of the speedboat on the trailer that hadn't moved for the last 20 years. It was very clearly, sun bleached and rain damaged and had obviously been taken out once and then nothing else done with it.
Yeah. Still with this bullseye sticker on it.
Yeah. I think they just drilled a hole in the bottom to let all the rainwater out,
I would argue the Generation game, though, had elements of being a maker program because the contestants would often have to do things, and sometimes it would just be kind of slightly odd things, but then sometimes they'd go like, okay, you're going to ice a cake and make it all decorative, or now we've got a pottery wheel,
potter's wheel, and
you're gonna try and throw a pot in front of a live audience, in front of the sort of national audience as well, of a few million people.
Millions of people.
It's just like, and they'd have other sort of maker type things. They never had things like you're gonna have a go at welding. I think there's a market for it. I think there's a television market for something like that. Yeah, it's like take a random family of people and say, right, you're going to be doing stuff to win a prize.
Yeah. What you said?
Sorry, go on,
Steve.
We say kids with chainsaws.
Yeah,
that's what we have.
It seems like Challenge Annika and stuff like that, isn't it? There was always kind of something, kind of vaguely pressured making type stuff on TV somewhere in the UK, at least. It's kind of. I don't know.
I've said before we've had a good history in the UK of making programs on TV. I think we've been doing it for 40 years at least, and sometimes it was kind of they were kind of maybe slightly off mainstream, where things like the Great Egg Race and Beat That Einstein, it was often like competition type things, and I think they led very much into things like Scrap Heap Challenge and Robot Wars.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think I mean, Steve, you were talking this week about, and last week about Great British Woodworker.
Great British Woodworker, yeah.
On Channel 4.
Channel 4, yeah.
And I know some of the Facebook groups have kind of, every now and again, they kind of, particularly the first season, they really were sort of slating into it. It's like, well, yeah, they're kind of, some of these people are forgetting that, this is an entertainment show.
Yes. Yeah.
That happens to be about making rather than a making show.
Yeah.
That's, it's like, well, what do you mean by the best woodworker? Well, it's kind of like, well, that's a title for a show.
Yeah.
As much as anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, it'd be kind of, if you want to get the best, it'd be like Professional MasterChef, where they get, you have to have been working in it. You've got to be a professional joiner to take part in this program. I think there's potentially a market for that, but it's great seeing these people kind of having a go.
Yeah, and there's all different skill levels, isn't it? Because they're not going to just pick 10 of the, as you say, 10 of the best woodworkers.
And they're picked for their I use this term loosely, but if their entertainment value.
Yes. Yeah. And so that makes a better show rather than just, everyone making a perfect table. So you've got, 3 tables that are made and the others have only got 3 legs or whatever, or no top or stuff like that, which is all good fun on TV, isn't it? And as you say, it's entertainment. But these people try really hard to make good things. They try their best to make something, don't they? Yeah.
Well, one of the contestants this year, she started woodworking with no previous experience during the lockdown.
Yeah.
It's like, well, and she's now kind of gone, I'm confident enough to enter a woodworking competition on TV.
Yeah.
And they've gone, because no doubt they've sort of checked. And, none of them, somebody's got to get kicked out first. And you can clearly see that there are people with more skills than others. And that the skill sets are quite different. But, it's like, it's not like a case of, you've never picked up a tool before, have you?
Yeah.
It's like, having a go.
Yeah. And I suppose for them, the jeopardy is that the people who are really skilled might try to build something too ambitious and not finish it or mess it up, which leaves the door open for someone less skilled to be to be equal with them. You know what I mean? Because they've finished theirs.
Yeah.
You sort of think that there's a perfect opportunity there for someone who is, skilled and experienced to make a simple product really well. I know Andy's also seen the what's the glass blowing one, Andy?
Yes. Yeah,
blown away, is it?
Blown away, yeah.
Where that is highly skilled people, but the huge jeopardy there is in the material. Yeah, the amount of potential failures and things.
Yeah,
I mean that's an interesting one. I mean, again, the range of skill levels. I mean, there are some people on there that have been blowing glass for 30 or 40 years, and are competing, and other people that have done it for 5 years.
Yeah,
but you can't go into that particular craft or competition in that craft without a certain amount of knowledge, because it wouldn't be safe. You can just. I mean, it's not an easy one to do. It's like picking up a saw. Well, actually, picking up a saw. Not everyone can. Not everyone can just kind of walk in and go, "Oh, okay, right, I'm going to join these pieces of wood together, and I'm going to." There has to be a certain base knowledge.
Yeah, I did enjoy the Blown Away series. It's really good.
Yeah, we watched the first one. We haven't been to watch the others. Yeah,
I'd say the second and third ones are better than the first.
Yeah, the third series is, and the second one are really good series. Yeah.
Donna's made an interesting point in the chat. So saying sometimes more experienced, sometimes do things to show up and then end up stuffing up. And I think that happened in Metal Shop Masters. The guy who should have won, in my opinion, didn't win because in the last event, he needed to work with other people, needed to actually tell other people what to do, and he couldn't do that and didn't do that, tried to do it on his own, and then didn't produce anything of the quality that he'd produced earlier on. He should have been a whitewash. I think that was interesting to see, because he wasn't. I don't think he was better than the guy who did win, but in the final event, the guy who won deserved to win.
Mm.
And I think it's always difficult with these competitions. I like watching MasterChef. I always try and make a point of watching MasterChef when it comes on, and the way they do it with kind of they have a group and then they whittle that group down, and then the next week they have a different group and they whittle that group down, and then once they've gone through all the groups, they bring them all together and then they whittle it down again until the final. And sometimes you kind of go, in say like the first group, the person who wins, you think, yeah, you're okay, but then in the third or fourth group, you think the 3 or 4 that got kicked out were actually better than the person who won the first group.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sort of quite seem fair, but it's TV, isn't it? It's
yeah.
Oh, did you see that there was last year? There was a photography one on BBC. I think it might have been BBC 3 or 4. And it was 6 amateur photographers. And it was 6 or 8 weeks. But each week they had a different task, a different type of photography to deal with. And they had a couple of different challenges each week. So yeah, like the first challenge every week was something like they took them to a different place. So one week it was like they were on the pier at Brighton, and another week they were in the woods somewhere, and all they had was their phone, and they had to take photographs with their phone and pick one, and that was kind of then judged. And then they would do something else, and then they'd have full kits and lights, and there'd be a studio type thing. And I really liked that program because they didn't kick anyone out. Each week, the same group of people.
Yeah.
Each week there was kind of a judging, and you're like, right, you're the photographer of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the photograph of the week. Yeah, this is the photograph. It's like, yeah. But then they kept them, and they learned. And by the end,
a really nice way of doing it. Much more wholesome.
They'd all been learning. Because that's one of the things I like about MasterChef is that and you see it in also things like the Great British Woodworker. Those who've kind of progressed the furthest often learn the most because they're really learning. And particularly MasterChef, where they're going into the kitchens, the professional kitchens, and they've got the chefs coming in and kind of sort of demonstrating things and critiquing their work, and you see them grow as a cook. And it was just so good to see. And then the last week they did kind of go, right, you're the winner. Yeah, you're the person who's come the furthest. You're now producing the best sort of photographs, and bit of a competition. That's fine to do, but it was like you said, Jimmy. It was wholesome.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest kind of frustration I have with those kind of shows. Is I get the reason for the format and stuff, but if you've got 6 or 8 or 10 sort of talented individuals producing something, you don't need to boot them all off, boot one off every week or whatever. Just, what you're doing is just reducing the amount of good, diverse content there. It's just that's my sort of frustration with those kind of shows.
It's that formula.
Yeah.
The Bake Off's got a lot to answer for, hasn't it?
But I mean, it's that. Like you said before, it's that entertainment thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know that I'm not the target demographic for a lot of those kind of entertainment shows, but I suppose it's
and they edit them in a certain way, don't they, to make someone look better than the other person or exaggerate different things just because they want to show that people go talk about the next day and they shouldn't have gone off and this, that, and the other, don't they? So it's never truly true what you see, is it?
No, exactly.
Is that MasterChef? The judges are always eating cold food.
Yeah, of course.
It's just like by the time they've got it cooked, and then they're kind of they've got to take the beauty shots of the complete plate, and that's from multiple angles or whatever. And by the time all that's done, the food's cold.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, because a lot of I know, like with people like James Hoffman, who's like a proper coffee nerd with quite a successful YouTube channel and stuff. that's one of the things he's talked about is, with the change in taste. So even with something, relatively consistent of, being the one thing, if all he's tasting is coffee, is that there is a noticeable change in taste as to whether or not you're drinking it hot or cold. And, we all sort of know that anecdotally anyway from leaving a brew to go cold.
Yeah.
We've all made that mistake and spat it back out, or pulled a silly face or whatever and ran to the microwave. But it's one of the things that he sort of talked about with specifically, tasting, like consistently tasting coffees. Be doing a taste test of 10 ways of brewing, or 10 levels of roast, or 10 grind sizes, or something like that. That if you let the thing cool down enough, you actually get specific flavors coming through that you don't get through, when they're too hot or things like that. Because it's got to be a similar sort of thing with with something like MasterChef.
Yeah,
Totally.
And particularly with texture, with food. Yeah.
So melted cheese,
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say it's like a Greg sausage roll. You get one, it's absolutely nuclear. So it's very different to one that's cold.
Well, the cheese toasty is the other perfect example, isn't it? It's either 300 million degrees or it's
there's no happy medium. Yeah.
Russell Grant, he was a happy medium, wasn't he?
Russell Grant, yeah.
Just
Waffle TV references. Yeah.
It's a very nostalgic episode, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like 80s TV all over again, or 70s TV.
There was some good TV. There was some rubbish. Some of it didn't wear well. Yeah, you watch it now.
None of it's aged well.
No. None of it's politically correct anymore, is it?
I don't think it ever was. So.
No, it wasn't. No, just magnified now.
Yeah, I think people more realise now that it wasn't. I think at the time people just laughed. But, yeah. Some people going, should we really be saying that about that particular cultural group?
Yeah.
I know.
I sort of. I realise we're about to get into a topic that sort of three beardy white dudes are not really equipped to deal with, but it was a topic on Reddit that I was reading this morning, and it was talking about a point with Chris Agabusi when he was over in the States for something or other. I can't remember what it was, but this would have been back in the 90s, I think. And he was referred to by the person interviewing him as African American. I said, "No, I'm English," and she couldn't quite sort of get her head round. Not, I think she called him an English African American at one point. And it was just, there were then a lot of explanations coming back through saying that sort of culturally at the time, at that point in the 90s. That was the term. She'd have got into trouble if she'd used anything else, and it's all that kind of thing. But it was just a little snippet of that point in time. Like you say, things that were broadcast standard. That might not necessarily have been sensible.
Yeah, I would just watch any 70s or 80s comedy program, particularly kind of comedians as opposed to, sitcom type program. Well, actually, quite a lot of sitcoms.
Sitcoms were just the same.
Are you being served? And,
Love Thy Neighbour is the one that would never get made today.
Yeah.
I think there's quite a few that would never get made today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what was it called? The one with the it goes back into the 60s with the Rag and Bone Man.
Oh, Steptoe Son.
That's it. Yeah, Steptoe Son. Yeah, some of that was just utter. Yeah, not good. Yeah. So, are you going to go? You mentioned it briefly. You're you're gonna apply for.
Well, I did
British
get an
Woodworking
email to
next
say, did I want to apply
year?
for the woodworking show? And I toyed with it. And when I went to Maker Central, I met the guy,
Joe.
who was on, who'd been on it.
Yeah, Joe's good.
And he said, just apply. But I didn't, because I thought, I don't want to go first.
It'll probably be a series 3.
There's always series 3. I wonder if I'll get another. I wonder how they worked out to send it. But they sent me an email, Channel 4.
Fantastic.
Go for it.
Wow,
Yeah,
we'll see.
It would be good. It would be good to see a few people kind of from the maker community.
Yes, yeah.
I say this, but again, it's like the people who have followed now on Instagram. Some of the people who were in last year's.
Yeah, Charlie.
Charlie and Tim, who's doing did the Automator.
Yeah,
and a couple of other people. And, the winner, probably I think at least 4 or 5 of them I follow on Instagram. Not that with Instagram, the way Instagram is at the moment, I see many of their posts.
No.
Sometimes see some stuff from Charlie and sometimes see some stuff from Tim. And you look at kind of when I sort of started following them, yes, a lot of other people were following them at the same time because they were seeing them on TV and kind of whatever. And I found quite a few of them through Joe, because I've known Joe for quite a few years, and kind of go, okay, right, Joe, I'm going to look at your followers, you're following, and he commented on some, and so it was easy to find them. And you think, well, actually, no, these people already they're already part of kind of a maker community, and it's so many little fingers going out, and I think we don't always see all the people. No. You see sort of some, you see the really big names, but then you don't always see some of the other people that are kind of out there, and sometimes it's because there's a particular craft. You see people. And it's like something yourselves, I mean, you guys are predominantly woodworkers, and you kind of you sort of mention things like that. I think. I haven't heard of that person. That person, you kind of maybe have to look on Instagram and you go, oh wow, they make quite a lot of stuff, and I mean, there are potential for so many, particularly woodworkers. Yeah, there's so many woodworking Instagrammers and YouTubers. It's like you could just fill up all your time just looking at woodwork. Similarly, you could do the same with blacksmiths, and same with kind of metal artists, whether they're welder fabricators as opposed to kind of the blacksmiths. And it would be nice to sort of see the bigger collective of that, and it'd be nice to see sort of more people. Maybe it's just me being selfish. I'd like to see more people that I know on programs like that. Taking part and start having a go. Seeing Joe on it was great.
Yeah, but you're right. In your little world, even like the woodworking world on Instagram, there's my little sort of world of people that I follow and interact with. But there are tens of thousands of other people that I don't know of. And the same wherever wherever your speciality is, there's millions of people you don't know. And like my wife is into leather work, and so the people she interacts with, they're very different. There's a whole different another world of that area to work in. And this, as you say, the same with your metal work and all the other stuff that goes on. It's the same. It's the same on YouTube. There's total. We can't comprehend how big YouTube is, because whatever interest you've got, there are tens of thousands of people making videos on that particular subject, aren't there?
Yeah,
definitely.
With massive audiences.
And that's just taking in, just in terms of English language, English speaking. If you extend that to kind of people non-English speaking, it's actually even huge. And it just amazes me actually sometimes. You kind of you end up maybe going down a little bit of a rabbit hole or something. Somebody kind of goes, there's this, and then you get suggested. And you kind of sort of you see what some people make.
Yeah.
And whether it's, I just like making. It doesn't have to be wood. I like doing stuff with wood, and I like watching people do stuff with wood. But I wouldn't want to watch on YouTube just woodworkers.
No.
Because it just gets boring.
Yeah.
To be honest, I watch less woodworkers now, or fewer woodworkers now, that I used to maybe 5 years ago. I kind of got a bit fed up of seeing the same things. Yeah, it's like there's only so many epoxy river tables one can watch. Yep, I know how to do that. I know what the next step is. Yep, I know what's going to go wrong here. And yeah, that's just not that I've done one, but yeah, if you watch a few of them, you kind of know. Yeah, that's going to leak. Oh, look, it leaked. Oh, what a surprise!
Yeah, I know. When I've made a few videos, and I always worry because I always show planing, thickness in wood, preparing the wood. And I think people have seen this thousands of times over. Should you not really bother with that? But it's all. But then I think there's some people who've never seen one before, so maybe they would want to know that you need to have it all square on 4 sides, So
yeah, and I think it depends on idea. I mean, you've only got a few videos. I've watched them all, and I think you explain things nicely, and you've got a good variety of shots, and you talk about things nicely, and people will watch things because a certain person's doing it in a certain way. And sometimes you watch something else and you go, "Yep, you're showing that for too long." You don't need to show me every single bit of that particular procedure. Show me the start, show me the end. And you're not explaining it, you're just demonstrating it. That's boring. But I think I mean, you're one with the boxes.
Oh yeah, the shaker boxes.
The shaker boxes.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't recall seeing any other videos about shaker boxes.
Oh, they're out there. I've watched them all.
They're bound to be. Yeah, I mean, it's bound to be. But I haven't seen any other ones. And that'll be the same for other people too.
Yes.
And I think people. I think channels that do well, either they're doing well because they're showing something very unique or something very spectacular. You've got people who are amazingly talented and producing kind of sort of unique things that maybe aren't done in a particular way. I mean, the leather work that Red Smith produces. His maps and stuff like that. It's just phenomenal. Or you get people that kind of are doing maybe crazy things. So think about Full of Tools. In some of the Al. Some of the things he's made. There are no other people on the. There are people who've made equally crazy things, but you take some of the things he's made. No one else has made those things.
And probably no one else ever will.
No. And so you get that kind of uniqueness. But then you get kind of other channels. I think people kind of will follow because they get to kind of they can relate to a person, and they like the way a person sort of presents things. And I think I think there are certain. You take something like Bob Claggett, who I like to make stuff. I think a lot of his success is down to he's producing some very not totally unique things, but I think quite a lot of the things other people have made. But he's made a variety of things. But I think people relate to him. They've seen him. They've seen him learn. He sometimes goes, "I'm not quite sure how to do this, but we're going to try this." Sometimes he shows it where it goes wrong. And I think that's relating to the maker.
Because we've all been there and messed it right up. Yeah,
absolutely.
Frequently. It's easy to make mistakes.
We are only human after all.
Some of them are really stupid mistakes, though, aren't they? Like when I cut something, a good 6 inches too short, and it was so obvious I'd cut it 6 inches too short.
Did you find that the more times you cut it, the shorter it got?
Yeah. And you never cut anything too long, do you? You never cut something 6 inches too long and think, oh, I need to take a bit more off that, do you? You always straight away and go and cut it too short.
The YouTuber.
Or you cut it too long, or you cut it too long, and then you go, oh, I must take off a couple of inches off that, and you take a couple of inches off, and then suddenly it's this much too short.
That's one of AVE's quotes. That he says, "I cut it twice, and it was still too short."
Yeah.
I suppose that's where the metal workers have kind of got the edge with the woodworkers, because it's very easy to just
Hold
glue the bit of metal back on. Yeah.
Hack it back on, get the grinder out. No one notices. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can join wood together. Yeah, if you got a domino or something like that, it's pretty easy. But
matching the grain up and stuff, it's easy to match the grain on kind of angle grinder across the whole piece when it's assuming you've welded it properly.
Spray it black, you never know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can cover a lot of mistakes up with a grinder, can't you?
Yeah.
A coat of paint.
Still, the welder's phrase, grinder and paint makes me the welder I ain't.
I mean, the problem is, woodwork. When we do woodwork, we try and leave, that kind of, you can sort of, the finishes we use tend to be kind of, translucent or transparent. So we're just colouring the wood, but we're still seeing the grain. Yeah. I think if you do the kind of go to Peter Millard's route of kind of working predominantly with MDF, and then cover it with
grain, lots of paint.
Add some filler, put some primer on it, and pristine. A lot to be said for that.
I used to watch it's one of the American car shows, the hot rod type thing, a bit like American Chopper, but the kind of the hot rods equivalent. I can't think what the hell it's called. Someone will be shouting at their podcast app at this point, but that was one of their kind of things. Is they'd spend hours and hours and hours completely stripping this old piece of crap down to the frame, redo absolutely everything on the frame, completely from scratch build the entire interior, hundreds of man hours into this thing. And then they'd get to the paint shop guys and they'd put it all apart again. And then they'd spend a couple of days covering the entire car with a layer of filler. Surely there's a sensible way of just knocking the panel out instead of, I fully appreciate they want to get a super smooth, nice finish, but when you've put so much time and energy into this whole car anyway, to then just baste the entire thing in filler to just get a smooth color. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just the way to do it, but surely there are skilled people out there to be able to just knock a dent out.
Yeah.
Grind it back flat. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had a little chat once about, are we getting better as woodworkers and creators, or are we getting better at fixing our mistakes?
Well, that's sort of a discussion that Jimmy DeRest has had before. You don't stop making mistakes; you just get better at fixing or hiding them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think it's sanding. Yeah, I mean, if you think when you take a piece of 80 grit to a piece of wood, you are scoring holes into that, into the wood. And then if you don't work up through the grits, if you then jump straight to like 300 grit, all you're doing is just smoothing off the top and leaving still the grooves that 80 grits just put in.
Yeah, and all you're doing is regularizing a surface, aren't you?
Yes.
You're not fixing anything. You're just removing enough stuff so that you can't see the rest of the mistakes you made.
You always been a maker, Steve?
Yeah, always. Yeah. It all started at school. Really, I hated school with a vengeance. Probably because I was dyslexic, and I'm still pretty dyslexic, but I didn't really realise it. I mean, in the like 1971, I started secondary school, and I don't think dyslexia was a big thing in 1971.
Yeah, it wasn't a term anyone
No,
kind of
I think I was
recognised
just
then.
I was just seen as thick, really, and the
Remedial.
only thing I was any good at was woodwork at school, and I had a great woodwork teacher, Mr. Hewitt, and he sort of took me under his wing a bit and sort of encouraged me to, because most people at school just did CSE woodworking, and he said, I think you could do an O-level, Steve. And so I left school with 2 O-levels, one in woodwork and one in maths. I was good with numbers, but nothing with letters in it or whatever.
I mean, if that doesn't scream dyslexia, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
And it was like sort of born out years later when my eldest son, Richard, he was dyslexic. But my youngest son, Luke, he was really, suffered quite badly with it. And he had to have lots of special extra lessons and tuition and stuff. And he did really good in the end. But yeah, so woodwork was my saviour. And when I was 1976, I was leaving school. You got a careers interview by this bloke who came into school. It was nothing to do with the school. He came in and you had a little interview with him, a careers interview. And I said, it's okay, mate, I'm sorted. I said, I've got an apprenticeship. I'm going to go and be a cabinet maker. He said, oh, you don't want to do that. He said, my father was a cabinet maker. There's no money in that, son. He said, it's a total waste of time. He said, you're very good with your hands. I said, yeah. He said, what you need to be is a nurse. I said, you're joking, aren't you? A nurse?
Interesting.
Yeah. I said, no, I don't need to be a nurse. And for whatever reason, that piece of thing stuck in my mind. And I never became a cabinet maker. I actually went to college. Can you believe that? I hated school and I couldn't really read or write, but I went to college because you couldn't start nursing until you were 18.
Yeah.
And I did a course at college, like a pre-nursing course at college. And then when I left college, I sort of fell into psychiatric nursing by total accident because I was meant to go and do my state registered nurse training. But that was in the January of 79, and I was too bored at home from like the May onwards. So I've just phoned the local mental hospital and said, have you got any places going? They said, yes, we have a place starting in September. And I went along, and that's what I ended up doing. And I did that for 37 years. And all the time when we had kids or when we had our own house, I was always making things because we couldn't really afford to buy a great deal. So I was always making bookcases or drawers or things for bedrooms, making things for the kitchen. So I've always been making things all the time, yeah. And so really now that I'm retired, I can indulge myself and become the sort of cabinet maker that I should have been when I was 16, really. Yeah. So.
I love that story.
I think this careers guide a list of professions that were short of people. Yeah. Because in Middlesbrough, when you left school, there was full employment of everybody that left school in 1976. Everybody got a job.
Wow.
Only 3 people went on to further education, and I'm talking like of the school we were in, there was like 400 kids left school that year. And only 3 went on to further education. I was one of them. And everybody else got a job, either with British Steel, ICI, or the local council or whatever, or the local knicker factory for the girls. And that was it, yeah. So
it's really interesting, actually, that obviously being dyslexic,
yeah,
to then be one of the few people to go on to further education. That in and of itself is a really interesting thing, especially in that kind of, it sounds really weird to say, but in that time,
yes,
in that era sort of thing, where you'd probably been steered away from any kind of further education with that kind of mentality of
my mother and father were very much against me going to college. They wanted me to go to work because they said, you hated school that much, why do you want to go to college?
Yeah,
it's such a different environment though, isn't it?
It seems stupid, yeah. But the course was quite lots of practical things in a way, and you got a placement at a hospital 1 day a week, that sort of stuff. But you still had to, you still needed you needed 3 O levels to get into nursing in them days, and I ended up with I think 7 O levels at the end of the college thing. I kept my maths and woodwork, obviously. But I got 5 more whilst I was at college. But the one thing I could never pass was either English language or English literature. No way on this earth could I do that. And I remember when I was at college, I did the English literature. And the books were Great Expectations, Hobson's Choice, and The Merchant of Venice. They were the 3 books. And we'd read them in class, and the teacher would try and make me read a piece out to the rest of the class, and I just couldn't do it. You know what I mean? It was just total gobbledygook. It was the worst feeling in the world because I knew he was going to pick on me. Anyway, the good old BBC on BBC Two on a Sunday, they showed Great Expectations, so I watched that. Next week they had Hobson's Choice. I watched that. But they never ever, the big letdown was The Merchant of Venice. I never ever saw any Merchant of Venice. And I failed. But, that was the way it was. And I only got into nursing because I got an O level in history. God knows how I got an O level in history. Because when I went to college, for 1 year, there was a 1 year O level class for economic history. I still can't tell you to this day what economic history is about. But I took the mock exam and I got 3%, and the guy was like, so you totally wasted my time, son. I said, I can't help it, mate. And I actually got an O-level grade C, economic history. I don't know how. And so to get into nursing, you needed three O levels, one of which had to be English, either language or literature, or history.
Yeah.
And so I got in for that.
To be able to say that you got into nursing with a history that you were very confused by, woodwork, and then maths.
Yeah. I did get a biology one as well, But,
sorry.
Yeah, you needed history or English to get in, otherwise you didn't get in. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So, but yeah, the Great Expectation. The Merchant of Venice let me down badly. And I actually never read a book, a proper book. This is God's honest truth. I never read a book until I was 50 years old.
Yeah.
And me and Sally were out shopping one day, and I said, I think I'm going to buy a Kindle. And she said, what do you want a Kindle for? You don't read books? I said, I know, but I might read a book. And I bought a Kindle, and I downloaded a book, and the first book that I read was Great Expectations.
Fantastic.
It was free, which helped. But the first book I read was Great Expectations at the age of 50. Yeah. And I can read much better with a Kindle. I don't know why that is. So yeah,
it's surprising actually. There's a few kind of studies that have gone into stuff like that. Like some people just don't get on with e-readers at all, but for others it completely opens them up.
Yeah.
But even computer screens. I mean, I've talked before about the guy who was a brickie, is now well, he may be retired now because he's that much older than me, but PhD in nuclear physics and worked at CERN. I've got a friend who I was in school with who it was in those bottom sets, dyslexia, not recognised, just considered thick and whatever. He's got a master's. He's studied psychology at university, then animal psychology. He's now a detective here in the police. It's like very intelligent guy, but just didn't. But with the ability to use a computer, when he went to college. And they went, oh, try this computer thing. And it was like, oh, wow, this makes such a difference between his reading and writing.
Yeah. Luke used to have all these different coloured, like transparencies to put over his work and stuff, which helped him read much better. And obviously he had extra tuition and stuff. And Luke's greatest achievement, I mean, he went to university and he got his degree and everything. But his greatest achievement is he got GCSE English language. Grade C, and he still says that's the best thing he's ever done. Yeah, Yeah.
I used to talk about like with the sort of the help that you can get with a computer. I used to work with a guy. I was working at BA Systems, so it's fairly sort of high profile.
Yeah.
Kind of government adjacent defense contractor, basically. And I was working with an engineering manager. He was a graduate at the time. And he basically turned up and he just kind of walked in and went, look, I'm new here. Transferred in from wherever. He said, look, I am hugely dyslexic. Day one, I am, getting this software. And he had Dragon Naturally Speaking and Read and Write Gold.
Yeah.
And he just had these 2 bits of software, and he was as productive on his off days and more productive on his good days than all the other engineering managers that had been there 10, 15 years before him.
Yeah.
Just having that that bit of assistance to sort of cut through the fuzz and that fog. It was wonderful to see that just how much a little bit of assistance or the right assistance can help someone. You just think, shit, how much productivity and positivity are we missing out of people's lives by people just not having the things that they need?
Massively. I've said this last week, and I've said this to other people in sort of discussions now. If I could get back into education, I would be changing some of the things I did. So I think I was a good teacher, and I think there are certain things that I did that gave people the opportunity to get great results, and the maximum number of people. And so some of those things I wouldn't change. But kind of more holistically, maybe even beyond my subject, the conversations that I've had, certainly over the last kind of year and a half of doing Maker's Waffle, and some of the conversations that have been outside Maker's Waffle as well, with people who, the education system let down. They may be successful now, but it's not necessarily directly because of the education system. It's because of their own perseverance and intelligence, and maybe the luck of meeting somebody maybe later in their education, post 16, post 18, who went, oh, have you tried this? Did you know you're dyslexic, ADHD, whatever? And I just wish, actually, in the UK and probably the entire Western world, we should be looking at more kids and going, right, your brain works in a slightly different way. We can accommodate that, and we can get you much further ahead, rather than doing things the way they were doing it.
And like you say, Jamie, technology is advanced, and there are things out there that you can use that are easy to use, that are not necessarily massively expensive to use. That would help a lot of people.
I mean, you look at even little things that we already kind of, elderly relatives. We used to get like the Better Work catalogue that would be arriving on the British doorstep, and it would be filled with things that were
easy grip handles and
tools to open tins with, things like that just make life a little bit easier. And you'd always have things like the big magnifying glass that you could put in front of the book. Or these kind of things. And you think, well, now we've all got a smartphone with a high resolution camera, pretty much welded to our hands on a daily basis, and you just fire into the camera app and zoom in on the thing you're trying to read, and then you've got instant magnification. And you think that it's just little things like that, or even dictation software, like. Even like growing up, for me, the kind of the executive toys were like the Filofax and the dictaphone. You know, they were the things that your average person didn't have. But if someone had both of those, you were doing well. You know, and now it's just your notes app on your phone, and you go, oh, voice note.
Yeah.
Or you open WhatsApp and send a voice note to your mate who you know is connected to a computer and can put a thing in a calendar. You know, it's all these little kind of conveniences that.
Yeah.
God, can you imagine taking these conveniences back 20, 30, 40, 50 years and going, have you tried just use this for a day or two and see how things change?
Yeah. No.
Or let some of the kids nowadays use some of these conveniences.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and base assessments on using them rather than controversial. Yeah.
We'll avoid an education rant for this evening, they show.
Yeah.
But strangely enough, I never had any trouble spelling schizophrenia or flupenthics decanoate or anything like that. I could spell it, no problem. But
well, because they're just a random arrangement of letters anyway, aren't they? So it didn't really matter. You only need to get the first couple of letters in the right order, and then anything else could just be mush.
Yeah, I was good at spelling all that sort of stuff.
I had, I'm sure about 15 months ago now, something like that. I'd gone to trouble with my sinuses, basically, and I'd gone to an ENT specialist to do the whole, camera in the sinuses thing.
Yeah.
And he sort of wrote me this prescription. It's like, right, this is what we're gonna start with. And I went to the pharmacy in the hospital to try and get the prescription, and the pharmacist just kind of looked at it and just went, "No, we haven't got any of that." Handed me it back and then sent me away. So I was like, "Fair enough." Went to my local pharmacy, handed it over, and was like, "Oh, let me go and have a chat with the pharmacist." And sort of stood around for 5 minutes or so, and I kind of wandered back out, and he went, "We are working on it. We'll be with you in a few minutes." Right. Another sort of 10 minutes goes by, and there's customers coming and going. I'm still stood there, scratching my head, wondering what's going on. Came back ready, went, "Really sorry to keep you. We figured out what they were trying to say." And it was literally about 15 minutes of them trying to figure it out. And it's like, well, we've figured out what it must have been based on the word that we could read. And there's only two things that are nasals, so it's going to be this, so we'll do that. And then we worked out the dosage was completely wrong because they were talking about this, but they actually meant this, and the boxes come in this, and and it was this sort of team effort out the back to figure out
to decipher his handwriting. Yeah.
I'm so glad prescriptions are typed now, mostly.
Yeah.
Should we move on to attention grabbers?
That's probably a good time,
Steve, as the guest, we normally let the guest go first. Attention grabbers can be anything. It doesn't matter whether it's a watch, a read, a working on, a worked on.
I doubt it'll be a read, but anyway.
Great expectations too.
Let me take you back to 1984 to a movie called The Karate Kid.
Oh my!
And I have just finished series 5 of Cobra Kai on Netflix. Nice. And I don't know whether you've seen Cobra Kai.
I haven't.
No. But it is the cheesiest program,
good things.
But it's also the greatest program. So it's the same actors that were in the original Karate Kid that are now, since 1984, they're now 30 years older.
20 years older?
Yeah.
20 years? It's only 20 years.
It's 2020 now, and it was 1984. So that's 40 years older, isn't it?
Yeah, 38, yeah.
So Daniel LaRusso, the Karate Kid, is the same actor. His arch enemy Johnny is the same actor. Ralph Macchiato. Macchiato. He's not called Macchiato, but you know what I mean. Isn't he? Yeah.
Ralph Fancy Coffee.
Yeah. And they're all grown up now. And Cobra Kai is still a dojo. And they teach the kids the wrong way to do karate. Mr. Miyagi's sadly dead. But the Miyagi dojo lives on with the Karate Kid in charge. And it's
if memory serves, Ralph Macchio is older now than
Mr. Miyagi was
when they did the first film.
Yeah. It could be, yeah. And it's still the rivalry between the two dojos, but their kids are now involved. And every actor who was ever in either of the 3 Karate Kid movies comes back into this series at some point as the same character.
Fantastic.
But season 5 was an absolute climactic episode series, and it was fantastic. And there's going to be one more, which is going to be the final series. But
Nice.
they're only half an hour long, and they're so much fun, yeah. But it's so cheesy. It's unbelievably laid on thick with cheese, but it is good to watch. So I really loved Cobra Kai. Yeah,
my dad's been trying to get me to watch it for quite a while because he's big into martial arts and stuff as well.
Yeah. And I think, any sort of extra was on that show, just walking along the street or whatever. They'll be in series 6, I think, because they're dredging the barrel now for any characters to come back. Fantastic show, yeah.
Yeah, I was in school when Karate Kid was on.
Yeah.
It's like you'd see people in the sort of playground, crane stance, and trying to sort of jump off one leg, kick up, and then land back on the same leg, and just sort of falling over. It's so funny
because my dad, I say he was into martial arts, still is. As soon as I could stand up, he was sort of teaching me bits and bobs because he'd done Goju-Ryu, which is what Mr. Miyagi was teaching Daniel. Mm-hmm. So he used to get me doing that crane stance, but on the arm of the couch.
Oh yeah.
So I'd be stood on the one leg doing the crane, and then doing the kick and swapping to the other leg on the arm of the couch. And to my knowledge, I only fell off a few times.
Can you still do it? That's the question.
Can you still do it? Yeah.
Quite possibly. It's been a long time since I've done it, but I've still got a little bit of balance. Probably not on the arm of the couch, though, to be fair.
Yeah, I was going to say that might not be a good idea.
Yeah, you might need to. Yeah.
I thought
maybe it's just on the couch
next week.
Yeah, I think I need to do a reel. We need a reel of you doing this, please.
Fat guy does crane kick.
Yeah. So yeah, that's mine. Yeah.
Anything else, Steve?
Anything else?
You'll have more than one. Yeah, we
have more than one
on this show.
I mentioned one on our podcast, which I've sort of got hooked on by default. Well, been forced into watching this stuff, and because we watch YouTube on the TV mostly at home, and my wife Sally, there's just one account on there, and she'll go on when I'm podcasting or whatever. And then when I come back, my recommendations are filled with absolute rubbish, garbage. I thought, where's this come from? You know what I mean? And this thing appeared about this Honey Jubu is the channel on YouTube. And she's a Korean lady who basically does videos about her cleaning the house. And they're about 10, 15 minutes long. Some are 20 minutes long. And you don't actually see her face. You just see her from sort of the neck down. And she puts a little pinny on. She gets the Hoover out, Hoovers up, washes the pots, moves a few bits of furniture. She might make a sandwich. And she gets 11 million views for these things. And then the next week's video, she's maybe cleaning the dining room, you know what I mean? So she might water the plants, gets the Hoover out again. And honey, but my life, my recommendations on YouTube are just taken over by pseudo honey buju people because there's lots of them. But she has 2 million followers, and every video gets at least 7 million to 11 million views. So I do the cleaning in the house because I'm retired. I do the cleaning on a Monday, so I was thinking I might just make a little video of me out with a Hoover, you know.
You've got to get the right penny, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll have a nice penny on. Yeah. And you do need it. She's got a little dog. You need some sort of pet. You know. That helps. But yeah,
I've got a couple of aprons. I've got a dog. I might.
There you go. I need a new career.
Go.
I said to Sally,
you definitely need another YouTube channel, Andy.
I said, I can't believe we're sat here watching a woman hoover up and sort the batteries out. You know what I mean? This is what life's become. Yeah, so Jubu. Yeah, go check her out. Yeah.
You might have to send me a link to that one. I'm not sure
Yeah.
how to spell that.
Yeah. Hey.
Jamie, what's been grabbing your attention?
My workshop has been grabbing my attention recently.
Ooh.
I sort of alluded to it before a couple of times that my table saw has only been half used. It's only the first part of the word that's been used. It's just been a work surface stacked with stuff for far too long. And it's only we've got like my workshop is basically the thoroughfare from the house to not the house. So it's like a kind of a 2x4 meter room that's basically got stuff on either side, and people walk through the middle. So it's not massively productive as a workshop for quite a lot of the time. And there's no, like, if you turn the table saw round with the kind of the extension wing on it, that is basically it. That is the width in between the wall and the fixed cabinets. So it's not useful as a table saw. So so my wife and I were chatting about options, and maybe look at getting rid of it, or maybe it costs more to replace because I've got a bargain. And so you're not using it, just kind of package it all up, make it as small as possible, and stuff it in the corner, and then you've got more room to do stuff. So that's what I've been doing, is attacking my workshop to make it usable as a workshop, or at least make it a space that I can step in and move around in. That, and then being very envious at a video on the Fully Charged channel of Robert Llewellyn, kind of a tour of his home. Eco-friendly type stuff that he's put, PV panels and thermal stalls and things like that. Just nerding out about renewable energy stuff, basically. Kind of the two main things have been grabbing my attention this week.
Yeah, I saw that one from
really good video.
It's just, it's a place in the Cotswolds, probably worth a good 7 figures. But it's been in media for a long time. But he's been doing the kind of the
incremental home upgrades and stuff.
The home changes over a long period of time. And yes. I mean, partly some of it's driven by the fact that he's doing shows on electrical and
renewable energy stuff. But it's basically
nice to see.
As minimal carbon usage as possible in his home. With 2 different PV arrays and things like that. So it's for like energy nerds and stuff. It's a nice little video.
Yes. Yeah. I would agree.
How about you, Andy? What's been grabbing your attention? Were you about to ask a question?
I was just going to say, we all want more room in our workshops, don't we?
Yes.
We're never happy with it, we all need more space.
Especially in the UK.
Yeah. Yeah. If you see these 3-car garages these guys have in America, and then one car.
3 American cars.
Yeah, 3 American cars. And then I've got like half a garage. Well, I've got most of the garage, but there's a washing machine, a tumble dryer, and a fridge at the bottom,
Yep.
It's not good.
Mine, if we've got a tumble dryer in ours, because it's basically it's like a conservatory type thing out the back. But, we also get indoor rain on occasion as well, which is quite a fun thing for a workshop.
Indoor shower. Yeah, nice.
My conservatory's like that as well. Yeah, the indoor rain. Yeah, I gotta try and do something about it. Yeah, it's been getting worse every winter for quite a few years now.
I only get the rain in the summer. It's just clearly one of those things where it doesn't. It's perfectly watertight in the winter, but if it's been a hot couple of weeks and then we have a sudden downpour, that's when it starts coming through the walls and old houses.
Any house, but doesn't have to be that old.
True.
Where some of them are built. But what have I been up to? My attention this week. A couple of things. A video came out yesterday, I think it was, from our good friend, the gentleman maker, Kelly Sands. Personalised YouTube, not YouTube, a personalized tube station. Tubes on the brain there. Tube station sign.
All right, okay.
They're very nice. Yeah, Kelly's got CNC and a laser. Yeah, it's nice to sort of see kind of a combination of tools and put them together. And yeah, he really does know what he's doing as well. Yeah, he's a clever chappy.
Always helps.
Yeah, he's a clever chappy. He's a clever chappy, and he's of magnificent moustache. So yeah, nice to see a video coming out. He hasn't put one out for a while, so it's nice to see a video coming out. Other things. This last week I rejoined because I'd let my membership lapse my local men's shed. So went back because just things have allowed me to kind of sort of do that. So got back there Thursday. And got drafted in to help and change the blades on their planer thicknesser, which was interesting. They're disposable blades on there. They had resharpenable blades to replace it, but they didn't have the conversion kit to allow so the disposable blades had to go back on. But it's a second-hand machine, so I spent quite a bit of time sort of cleaning the blades with available tools, which basically was some Wirewall and WD-40. So that was fun. I've never changed the blades on a planer thickness before because I've never had one. But that was, it's not that complicated, and they had an instruction book. So
bingo,
that's always cheating.
Yeah. So it was it was nice to kind of sort of get back and get it kind of doing a few things there, and they've got their workshop's a bit of a mess because of things they've had of events happening in their place, and so things got moved around, and they've been given a pile of stuff, and so hopefully go back hopefully on Tuesday this week, and I might just do a bit of tidying because I like doing a bit of tidying. But yeah,
you know where I live, don't you, Andy?
Yeah, I can't tidy up here. I mean, just look at the mess behind me. It's just like, so go somewhere else. Like, go to somebody else's place. Yeah, and I'll I'm happy to tidy things up.
Honeydew boo's definitely for you then, Andy. If you love tidying, get it on.
Let's get one of those little body cams, like security guards that have now. Or kind of GoPro on a head strap, chest mount.
Hoover cam.
Quite fancy, quite fancy. A couple of million subscribers, and 11 million views.
Yeah, lash it to your Dyson and get out there.
Now, there's a phrase out of context that's going to confuse a lot of people.
I was going to say, I think that needs to be on a t-shirt. Yeah, just write that down. Lash to your Dyson. Yeah, that's a t-shirt waiting to happen. Yes, that'll be good. It'll be good to get back there and hopefully get some making done at some point as well. Because since I was there last, they have upgraded some of their tools. Their very dodgy table saw has now become quite a nice Metabo.
Nice.
So they've got a few nice tools, but they've got a lot of mess at the moment. So I can help with that. That'd be good. Steve, where can people find you if they want to?
People can find me on Instagram at Steve Bell Creates, on YouTube at Steve Bell Creates, and at the Three Northern Makers on any good podcasting platform.
And a few not so good ones.
Yeah, and a few not so good ones.
Are you gonna change the name now?
No, we're going to keep the same name.
There's a wonderful TV show based on an even better book of the name's completely slipped me by. Douglas Adams, the one that isn't Hitchhikers.
Dirk Gently.
Thank you very much. Completely brain fart slipped my head there. But in the American version of the series that they did, they had some characters that it was the Rowdy Three, and there were 4 of them. And then by the end of the second series, there were 5 members. No, there were 6 members of the Rowdy Three,
Right.
and if they turn up, they just kind of crash through a wall or something, and go, with the Rowdy Three. It's like, what? There's 4 of them. Like, we know.
It's like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is the best trilogy in 5 parts you can find.
Yeah.
There's 6 now if you
Absolutely,
include the additional book that was written. Yeah.
Numbers don't mean anything, do they, Andy?
No, they don't. They're just facades in our imaginations. Yeah. On that note, how about we say goodbye to folks?
Steve, it's been an absolute pleasure to hang out with you for the last couple of hours.
Oh, this has been honestly, it's been great fun, and thank you very much for having me on as a guest. It's been really good fun. Wow.
Yeah,
wonderful
I got to know you guys much better now. See,
hopefully we'll catch up. We'll catch up at Maker Central whenever.
Yes,
Nick,
when it's announced.
Let us know
when it's announced. Yeah. Wow. Anyway, thanks very much. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, thank you.
Brilliant.
Absolutely.
Right, bye then, folks.
Thank you, folks, for joining us.
Bye.